Hey guys, it's Eric with the Miller Park Minute, where we're throwing strikes and getting likes, hitting dingers, and getting listeners back again with another podcast. We talk about the Milwaukee Brewers on a daily basis. So this is your one fan-created podcast that's out here daily talking Brewers. Welcome, Richard. Thank you for joining the stream, watching me live. We switched up the camera angle today, so technical difficulties galore. But anyways, yeah, so today we're going to talk a little Brewers. We're kind of pregame at this point, so 4 o'clock is my live stream time. I appreciate you guys who pay attention, especially Richard here, who's here live every week. So yeah, the Crew comes back from the All-Star break with a big victory, 1-0 over the Cincinnati Reds, now tied for first place. Big stuff, big things happening. There's a lot here to unpack. I didn't talk about this game over the evening, just Fridays. You guys know I kind of miss episodes Fridays. Like Friday nights, I can't upload. I don't have time, just due to work schedules, things like that. But there's a lot to talk about in this game. Our man Corbin Burnes, the grit of Corbin Burnes, and just everything that this team kind of fought through in the game here. So as always, we'll talk about the good, the bad, and the downright ugly of this game. So this game basically was very key to the Crew at this juncture in the season. We've already, and I know a lot of people are kind of saying at this juncture that we are already out. And that Steel game was the loser for us. And I think it's important to take a look at a lot of factors. There's a lot of factors. You can't count us out yet. It's not over till it's over. This is very true of baseball. I mean, you never know where you're going to be, where you're going to end up. And I think the good here is our man Corbin Burnes going 6 strong, only allowing 2 hits, 0 earned runs, 13 strikeouts. He had heat exhaustion. Looked like he wasn't going to go any further. And then he added another 3 Ks on top of that. That speaks to the man's grit. The man's in it to win it. And it's awesome. I mean, a good old-fashioned K performance from Burnes is when it comes down to. And that's great. And it was all the way across the board in our bullpen. Our bullpen was very shut down, much similar to the Wade Miley game before the break. They were very shut down. And it goes to say Perguo and Piamps, and of course our man Devin Williams, our all-star, came out there and each delivered a K of their own. We had a total of 18 strikeouts in this game, and that's something to be said. Very, very solid performances, just solid across the board. Now, the bad is we didn't get runners in. We held 1 run. As much as the bullpen and Corbin Burnes did their own thing, we didn't score the runs that, extra runs to make it a little easier for them. Not that they needed to be a lot easier, but they did pretty well. I mean, it looked pretty easy for them. But, we just got, it's first game after the All-Star break, so we got to get the bats rolling. Yelly had an 0 for 4. Not detrimental at that juncture, but it's a day-to-day game. I've said this 100 times. I said this the other day. It's a day-to-day game. So Brewers batting average is 27th out of 30. Yeah, I mean, it's a day-to-day thing. I mean, a win's a win. I'm not gonna sit here and rip on this Crew and this team for a loss. If you want to do that, that's great. But you're killing me, Smalls. Oh, we'll get into that in just a sec, Richard. Don't worry, I'll talk about that. What do you make of this? What needs to happen? So personally, I think that one of the biggest parts of this, one of the factors, is you've got to get the hits when you need it. That one run across was all we needed yesterday, and that's important. When you talk about comparing overall statistics, I think that we're going to be where we're going to be. You're going to hit, you're going to not hit. But at the same time, as long as you get those hits and clutch hits to win games, Jesse Winker's hit was Caratini's hit last night was a clutch hit to win a game. That's all you need at the end of the day. So you win some, you lose some. It always, how it isn't always going to be the best. You're not always going to smack. I mean, I've said this before. I'll say it again. Hitting 300 in this game is missing 70% of the time. To hit 300, you're missing 70% of the time. So that's a good mark in baseball. An under 3 ERA is a good mark. I don't know what that was. That was weird. That was very weird. Anyways, so the one thing I will say about this is you gotta kind of just, it's a complete game. It's a game of all pieces. I actually had a conversation with the Wisco Fanatics the other day. That's on podcast form and on video form. You can go back and watch the live feed of that. And we talked a lot about that this is a day-to-day game. A big part of watching the Milwaukee Brewers season right now is you're rolling out a different 9 guys every day. You're rolling out a different pitcher. You're rolling out a different reliever, a different starter. And that's part of playing the game and playing well. The moves that the Brewers make and the fact that we're at 50 some already moves is saying that they're trying to adjust. And it's a game of adjustments. It's a game of inches in a way. And that's all you can do and all you can expect the team to do. We're in first place. We've been constantly fighting first or second place this entire season. So there's no bad here. It was a good win. Could things have been a little better? Yeah, but a win's a win. Now, I'm not going to harp on a negative on a win. That'd be stupid. You're killing me, Smalls. Okay, yeah. So, Richard, one of the key elements, and this sucks that we both didn't know this, but your team is kind of a, and this is similar to the Brewers. You pick them up as you go. Some guys hitting, some guys not. The difference is my lineup and my everyday players. 6 or 7 of them are all-star players, and not that I'm like some fantasy sleuth or anything like that. I'm not the greatest at that, but I just got lucky with having an all-star lineup, and that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Hello to my beautiful wife. Yeah, so I think that's very important, is that lineup that you put out there. You don't know what they're going to turn into and who they're going to be. We didn't know that Jesse Winker was going to stink, in a certain light. I mean, he's not terrible, absolutely terrible. I wouldn't. He's definitely borderline a DFA type player, but that's for my wife, just so you know. He is definitely not the guy that we expected or thought he could come back to be, but you're not gonna be successful with all 40 man on your roster. Not everybody is gonna be a win. Not all of us can have 6 guys in the All-Star game at one time, i.e. the Texas Rangers. I'm kind of glad that our guys didn't get in the All-Star game, though, in a way, because it's just extra innings and extra time, and I'm not that guy that ever complains about guys playing the game and stuff like that. But if that's what Burns and Woodruff need, or Burns and Williams need to do to protect themselves, that's great. So You're throwing me off here, sweetie. I love you to death. Uh, bases loaded with no RBIs hurts. It does hurt, Richard. You're exactly right. That is a big thing here. And okay, bye. I love you. That's a big thing here. Is bases loaded. And we just a lot of these clutch hits don't fall. Where I go back to, I said it's a game of inches. A lot of times, these clutch hits just aren't falling the Brewers' way, and I don't know that you can change that. There was another play on the third base side. Which video? Oh, the other day, that one that I was talking about. Yeah. Yesterday there was another third base send, and it was Weimer, and he could have got it, but it's just the way it goes. Jason Lane doesn't know the outcome that he's going to make a great tag or whatever. He just sends him into what he thinks is a scoreable situation, and yeah, I don't think we can judge it so harshly like a lot of these people on Facebook that complain every day. It's not what we can do. And if this team yes and no. I was gonna say, if this team has taught us anything this season, is just you don't know who's going to hit on each given day. Now, we kind of can say that same thing about Christian Yelich when we talk about what happened the first 3 weeks of the season. You didn't know that he was going to be this good. Part of me, there's two sides to this. Yeah, I think he could have or should have been a replacement. I'm glad kind of he wasn't, in a way, because that rejection and that denial makes for a better scenario, because it's just going to force him to push harder. See, you dropped him right when he heated up, and that was perfect. But the thing that, again, not to your fault, because you didn't know that the matchup ended last Sunday, but the funny part was the matchup ended. I had one pitcher to go, and I'd give it. Basically, me and Richard are in a fantasy league, and we tied it up. We were like neck and neck. I'm undefeated. Richard's like second place, and Richard is very aggressive with players like the Brewers. I talked about this in a previous episode, and he dropped Bellinger, and I picked him up, and I picked him up right at the hot streak. It was timing. It was just happened to be timing. He was best available at that time. I always go best available, and I think that's what the Brewers should do. Best available for the situation. That's where you got. I still can't say his name. Jami in that situation against the Cubs 2 weeks ago. But I think Christian is doing great. I love where Christian's at. I'm not. I'm wearing Weimer today. I was gonna say I put my Christian Yelich t-shirt back in my rotation, and I have worn a couple of my Christian Yelich jerseys recently. So that's one of the big things, is like I can stop quietly rooting for him and start loudly rooting for him, because he's good again, and that's really good. But you can't take out all the wins and losses there, Richard, with dropping Bellinger. I mean, I've dropped so many players, and last year Rob used a couple of those players. David Bednar is a great example, who I think the Brewers should acquire. I actually talked about that in the previous episode. I don't think there's a snub, though. I'm just looking at the rest of your question. I apologize. I don't think there's a snub. I think the All-Star game is kind of it's in a way almost a joke, because it's like, okay, well, the fans can totally rule it and get a guy in that wasn't good or isn't good or doesn't deserve to be there. I don't necessarily think per se that there was anybody this year like who shouldn't have been there, but like in years prior, there was like one I remember in particular. It was all Cubs. It was like the Cubs were good at that time, but they weren't that good. You know, I mean, there's been times that many Brewers have gotten in on the backs of not subpar seasons. So, but that's part of the game. You know what I mean? Like that's just what it is, and that's what the All-Star game has been for a very long time. So that isn't going to change. I don't think they're always trying to tweak it and fine tune it. One of my biggest gripes is the home run derby, where a guy can go out there and hit 40 bombs, and then he gasses himself for the next day. You're on the radio and talking Brewers, and there's who should the Brewers pick up for the second half of the season? Spark the offense. Any ideas taking rentals for the rest of the season? So I kind of talked in length about this the other day on the trade block special, done with Wisco Fanatics. That was live 2 days ago, Richard, I think. I think they need relievers. Honestly, the two positions of power that we need would be first base. I brought up the polar bear, Pete Alonso. That would be a great one. That's going to take them spending a little bit of money. I also brought up a couple relievers, Bednar, Joe Kelly. They need a veteran presence in relief because you do have a lot of young arms there. But that doesn't go to say like a Piamps or a Hobie Milner or any of those guys are any less valuable as players. I just think that, adding an extra arm wouldn't hurt, and a seasoned arm that you're not going to have to send up or send down. Just a guy that can be there and be a presence. Even if you could use him as a setup guy and switch out with Elvis Peguero. I also, one of the things, you never know. That's just a pipe dream. I'm not necessarily saying that it would have to take there would be some moves and a lot of moves. Same with Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani is not going to become a Milwaukee Brewer. I would die and go to heaven if he did, even for a minute, because it would kind of be CC Sabathia-esque. But even then, even if you make a move to get a guy like Shohei Ohtani, you're still going to need to add other players. So, and again, I would refer back to that video because I give more detail on what I thought on that. I think at this point they are trying to make moves. I think a really aggressive move would be go back and get Josh Hader. And you're going to have to cash yourself a little to do that, but at the same time, it might pay off if you're going to make the push right now. That's cool. That's very cool. But I think those things are yet to be seen. We got to see how we play in these next 2 weeks. I mean, these are the most crucial games right now. Every game that's in front of you is the most crucial game. So today's matchup is Freddie Peralta versus Abbott. Freddie Peralta has given up a lot of long balls this season. He's fallen victim to that. I love Freddie. He's still got a lot of Ks. He's doing good that way. But at the same point in time, those are the things that we need to look at is, how can, and each player is probably doing it, but how can each player get incrementally better? Corbin Burns actually surpassed Freddie in strikeouts with his performance last night. Go figure. But, how can we get incrementally better each day? And take one game at a time, because that's what it's going to take to get down the stretch here. Even if you do have, I don't see the Reds as big of a threat as people are making them seem to be. They are a tough team, but we also have teams like the Phillies, the Braves coming up. It's just those are where the games get a little more crucial because their team's not in the division, and that's kind of important. Is Woody close to coming back? They're saying August, so end of July, August. If you listen to the updates, they say he's pitching off the mound, but then he gets little setbacks here and there. Woody is going to be one that's going to Oop, something happened. Hold on. Close. I don't know how I just did that. All right, sorry about that. Can you hear me better now? I think when we talk about the long haul of the Milwaukee Brewers and the long haul of this season, it's going to be kind of piecing things in. No, it's the halfway point of July. It's the 15th. That's mid-month. So, they got some rehab assignments and all that too yet. So we're a ways away. 2 weeks, maybe 2 to 3 weeks. And will they use him as the excuse that was their big trade line acquisition? Who knows? I mean, that was a David Stearns move last year when we got him back too. So the long and short of it is like we just got to take it and roll with it and roll with the punches and see what this thing gives. I mean, we don't have the control factor like we would like to as fans. But I'm enjoying living every day vicariously through this team. Well, happy birthday next week. But like, you know, at the end of the day, the meat and potatoes of where we are right now is it's a day by day thing. We got to take one game at a time. We got to beat one team at a time. And they know what they need. They know where their strengths and weaknesses lie. Pete Alonso, yeah, Pete Alonso would be awesome, but it's just a pipe dream. It's not a reality. Long and short of it, I don't think it's a reality, but I would think it'd be fun to lock up a first baseman. And I said this before, we've got positions locked. We've got Christian Yelich locked. We've got Weimer, Mitchell, and Perkins right now. Could be Frelick later. We'll see how that develops. Frelick's probably going to be September again. I don't foresee them using him now. We still got guys like Gasser that could come up too. No, Mitchell won't be back this season. They're shelving Mitchell till next year. There's no way. And I actually insinuated we could trade him. Just that's how confident I feel in the man, Joey Weimer, who's got a signing coming up at Waukesha. So if you want to meet Joey Weimer, head over to Waukesha Sports and sign on up. Public signings at Waukesha Sports are one of my favorite things, one of the best things I look forward to. Now, so one of the things when it comes to everything I read and I go through when I prepare to do these videos or when I talk, just the stuff that I'm into, this is a labor of love for me because it's something I would do without, if I wasn't stepping in front of this microphone, which I didn't do for a couple days this week because I knew like I wasn't going to talk about the All-Star game because quite frankly, nobody cares and I don't care enough about it. I watched it, but I don't care enough about it to talk about it and go in depth into why it matters or what matters about it or the draft or any of those things because they're all really relatively pointless at the end of the day. But part of what I do is I sift the bullshit. I sift through what's a story that was written for the person. What's a thing that they're doing for clicks? What's the thing? So I take a look at all this in the long and short. I look and I say, okay, that seems realistic. That doesn't. And it's just part of my instinct is being a fan for as long as I have and speaking about the Brewers for as long as I have. Do I feel like the stuff that they said, Burns said about having a sit down with Arnold? Yeah, I do, because I feel that's real because I think the reality with Corbin Burns right now is he's not going to get traded because one, he's not in his best place. And I think that there's part of Corbin Burns that wants to prove himself that he can be in his best place and either get the Brewers trade for their dollar or get himself a deal negotiated out of that trade. If he doesn't want to negotiate with Matt Arnold and the Milwaukee Brewers, I mean, that's still on the table here for us. So I know a lot of people have ruled that out, but it goes based on what the writers are writing and what the people are saying. And there's, he's mentioned because he's a name to get a Milwaukee fan to click. Yeah, you're going to hear trade rumors that have Corbin Burns' name in them because it's a click for a guy like you or me, for a person like you or me. It's a click to click into an article that says Corbin Burns top 25, or if he's in a graphic for an article with top 25 trade candidates, and then you go down and you scroll and you read what kind of BS they're saying about Corbin Burns. That's how this internet works. That's how we work as humans. That's just a part of it. One of the things that I would say is it's going to be an interesting 2 months. We're going to see what this team is made out of. The NL Central is not the strongest division, so we are in good light there. And we'll fight it out. We'll keep fighting it out. I mean, baseball is baseball at the end of the day. But I think the long and short too, even if you look at okay, and I'm going to do a more in-depth, so this is kind of just a preview thought process. I'm going to do a more in-depth talk about this stadium situation that they are talking about, and they've written 100 articles on it. You read a different one every day, and they basically all say the same thing, and that's Mark Antonazio does not want to take the profits of the team out and reuse them for capital gains, for investment in the ballpark. That's what that comes down to. What does Mark Antonazio give a crap about making the ballpark nicer when he's not an assistant? He's not from here. He doesn't care. A friend of mine and a good listener to this show said to me the other day, Bud cared because Bud was from Milwaukee and Bud was part of the community, and Bud was the commissioner, so he held it to a higher standard. But you notice anytime you read one of these articles about the stadium and about the repairs and woe is the Brewers because the government isn't just handing over money, and that's what it comes down to. It comes down to just it's whining. Mark Antonazio's name is far from that article. And the reason that he is far from that article is because they don't want to put fault where fault is due. The ballpark is it's the ballpark maintenance and the grounds of the ballpark are the Midwest baseball something or other. I'll give you more detail in the video that's going to be about that in a couple, maybe a day or two. I don't know when I set it to drop, but the thing about that is, and the meat and potatoes about that is, there's nothing that says that the Brewers can't spend their money on that. If they want to upgrade the scoreboard, they could put it out of their own pocketbooks. If they need to fix the AC, that should come out of their own pocketbooks at a certain extent. It's like operating a business. Operating any business, the taxpayers aren't going to pay for your local mom and pop grocery shop to have air conditioner or better refrigerators, or no, that all falls on. Now, all businesses get their own fair share of tax credits and government assistance in their own ways, and that's their right as a business. But at the end of the day, they have to put something up. They have to put something forward besides just putting players on the field and staff in the stadium. They got to take some responsibility to it. I don't think that any valid point to it. Were you talking about the contract of Craig Counsell at this? I'm gonna sidebar to this real quick before I get into that. I think what really has something to do with it is his kids. I actually just went and saw his kids play against the Dock Spiders here locally a couple weeks back. Both of them are on the Lakeshore Chinooks. It's kind of cool to see it because it's like the future, and I think part of him as a dad probably wants to be a part of it. So I'm never gonna fault him. Could he go somewhere where his kids go to play, college ball or affiliate ball or whatever? Maybe. I don't know. One day at a time, man. One day at a time. So I don't think I think that's just kind of something that he has no ties to the Mets, so he would have to have something really strong to pull him there. Yeah, the scoreboard is getting replaced next year. They already had the money in the funds and in the budget for that. So that's a done deal. Then it's going to be the most state of the art thing in Major League Baseball. But that comes down to, and don't believe the hype, guys. Stop eating and feeding every article you read, because it's just going to make you sick. The Brewers are not a broken system. I mean, they make money, they turn a profit. They are an organization that is in Major League Baseball to turn a profit. You don't think that they would not be making money on what they're doing? Of course they are. That's full out malarkey, horse hockey. And then there's this group that's advertising. I don't know if you hear it or if you listen to the audio on. I think I'm on Bailey. No, on the audio broadcasts that you listen through the app. They talk about there's this group out there that's like trying to save Miller Park, blah blah blah, or AmFam, whatever you want to call it. But like the big thing that they always say in those ads is we don't want to lose in jeopardy of the stadium and yada yada yada. Well, the one big piece that they don't seem to keep mentioning and they circle around is we got 7 more years. We got 7 more years before this thing actually comes to fruition. As we all know, politicians take their time on things. Politicians make last minute deals all the time. So Milwaukee's not going to be losing a ball club anytime soon. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the advertisements by this group. That's the coalition for keeping the 2027 or 2030. It's 2023. That's 7 whole years. That's my son's whole life at this juncture. A lot can happen in that amount of time. So, but they're hyping it. And they're saying, "Oh, Manfred visited and said the stadium needed to be repaired, otherwise they would have to be moved." It's all a hype game, and it just so you feel bad for them. They want to play hurt little puppy, wounded duckling, whatever you want to call it. It's not true. It's just not true. And if you read these articles and see anything else but that, I mean, how many times can they interview Rick Schlesinger about the concrete and the fact that they couldn't slap some fucking paint in the back end of the stadium? It's crap. But there will be a full video on that coming in 2 days. I deep dive it, and I get a little fiery, as I like to sometimes. So we talked about the game today. We talked about the All-Star break a little bit. I will be doing a full All-Star review probably in tomorrow. Is Sunday tomorrow's video. We're going to be catching some local live baseball. Going to see the Final Act Expeditors. I actually think they're playing the Lakeshore Chinooks again, so I'll get to see Council Skid again. I think that's what the game said on my app. I don't remember. But yeah, I just there's a lot more content coming. There's gonna be standalone videos and the podcast every day. So keep it coming. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking these videos and being a part. I appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, guys, go Brew Crew. Let's get them tonight. Richard, you're going down. Don't even worry about it. You're going down. Your team's done. Done. Toasted. 14-0. Rest in peace. I can't roll my eyes back in my head like the Undertaker, otherwise I would. All seriousness, Richard, good luck. We'll see you in the playoffs, buddy. You guys have a great night. Go Brew Crew.